So Mayflower has been at Plymouth Plantation for over 55 years, and we've developed a bit of a routine with maintaining the ship in that time.
Hi, I'm Peter Aronson. I'm captain of the Mayflower II.
Our standard procedure has been to haul the ship out of the water every other winter for a number of reasons. One is for doing painting on the bottom, and the second is for an inspection that is required by the Coast Guard. We are certified to carry passengers, and part of that certification process requires that we have a dry dock inspection, as they call it, every other winter. During the inspection period, the Coast Guard noticed a couple of planks very close, just above the waterline, that looked suspect, and asked to look at them more closely. They couldn't see the full length of the plank because a lot of the planking at the waterline is covered with a band of copper. If you look at the white planks that run up from that band, that's a band of copper that was applied to the side of the ship back in the 60s or 70s. And the idea for that copper band was to protect the ship against ice damage while the ship was in the water in the wintertime. So what we had to do was peel back whole sections of this copper to expose the full run of those planks. And in exposing those planks, we found some, I think it was 3 or 4 planks initially that needed to be replaced. Anytime you open up Mayflower, or anytime you open up your old house to repair something, you're bound to find further damage below. And unfortunately, we found some frames that were no longer usable, no longer safe to have on the ship. So the plan has been to, as they're doing on the other side of the ship, remove sections of planking, then remove the bad frames, make a new frame, put the new frame in, and then plank up the ship again. And that's where we're at right now. Right now we're getting a view of the Mayflower that most people will never ever see again, and that is we're in the hold, and yet we could see daylight through where the planks normally are. If the ship were in the water, we'd be under the water right now. We're at the lowest level of the ship. You can see they've removed a couple of sections already. You'll notice all the frames are double sawn frames. They're overlapping sections that run up side by side on the ship to make the ship very strong. And so this is some of the material that's going to end up being planking for Mayflower II. This is white oak. It comes from places all over New England. This particular stuff came from parts of Rhode Island and Connecticut. Of course, Mayflower has very specific planking requirements. The planking is oak, number one. It's very thick. It's about 2.5 inches thick. And it needs to be relatively clear. And ideally, the planks would be like this piece is right here. Got a nice, gentle sweep down the length of it. The best and strongest pieces have the grain following the curve of the timber that you're making. So what's going on out here is the Beaks Head project. As I mentioned, the deck has been removed here. There's a deck beam that's gone. There's a couple of carlins that are gone. And the supporting structure that was all rotted that was underneath it. We have Danny here who's making some dowels that are going to go into old fastening holes. The Mayflower structure is supported by hanging knees and lodging knees. These hanging knees hang down and sort of act as braces between the beams and the side of the ship. One of the hanging knees was rotted, and so we had to remove it. Those fastenings, as I mentioned before, over time start to rust, and then the rust expands. And because these two fastenings are fairly close in line, it has the ability of actually pushing the wood apart and then ultimately splitting it. The old fastening holes have been plugged, and now we're looking for stock to make that new knee out of. We're now in the generator space of Mayflower II, and not a lot of people know that Mayflower has a generator, but when we're underway, we have electric bilge pumps, we have lights, and we have a radio, all the things that are required by the Coast Guard, and we need electricity to run all those items. We have a brand new generator, very reliable, and it's the same type as they had in 1957 when the Mayflower first came here. The other nice thing about this generator is that money for the generator was donated by a very generous woman associated with Plymouth Plantation. And to me, that's one of the things that Mayflower does, is it attracts people who want to help, who have a love for history, have a connection with the Mayflower, or just have a connection with the Pilgrim story, and they want to help keep that story alive.